Okay, so this was the snowball fight and the intro and parts of what we went up to. I think it was up to the Heartlines with Catherine in it. So I'm just basically, I'm not going to talk about what we've done. If we've done subtle changes that I noticed, I'll talk about them, but I'm mainly talking about adding in Catherine to this bit. So obviously I talked about how we were all standing well, ducking down, getting the snowballs, and I talked about how this was a bit improvised to start off with, but obviously we stuck with it. We added Catherine in the centre to create the idea of symmetry. It looks appealing to an audience, and it also keeps the similar effect of what we're next going to demonstrate with the lean at the same time, and the slow motion. And it still works alright with Catherine as well, because we've got the idea of levels. This also wasn't intentional until we decided we liked it and watched it back with Marlon in the centre as well.
The right size, the optimum weight, you have to throw it.
And then coming back to the stage. In this bit previously, we obviously need to figure it out a bit because I ended up running into Leah. But we had Izzy and Hannah too doing a spin, Marlon and Leah, and I just ran around, whereas we can incorporate Catherine now, so me and Catherine spin off each other. She wasn't in any of these duets, so she is currently collecting snowballs, but I think this adds an alright aspect because we definitely reference her a lot and we include her a lot.
You're fit!
So this bit we'd already seen, we're running through.
You've dodged every snowball because you're like that.
Maybe there could be a little bit more of an interaction. I think we're going to look at potentially making this more mobile, and then Catherine will obviously have more to interact with instead of just being at the front. Then obviously my interaction with her, it's playful. The energy levels and the volume need to be higher in terms of us speaking, but I think it's a nice way of adding her in. We would think about leapfrogs, or even just potentially like some kind of like movement me and Catherine can do. Obviously not a lift with her injury, but something along those lines.
Graceful! Swift!
And we had Catherine just added into the middle here, so that we had almost like a really cool line of falling back with Izzy throwing the snowball in slow motion. I think this works alright with Marlon and Leah's arm. It's almost like Catherine doesn't really need them there, but it sort of creates the idea of being at one. This bit's a bit messy, but it's not a bad transition if we can get it quick. That bit as well, it's almost like we're waiting for it, but with Catherine added in as well, it still works fine. It's almost like you can't really notice that Catherine wasn't in it because it adds a better number to it, but I think that worked to our advantage really. It's not a bad thing for her at all. I think it works to add to the piece, definitely.
It's not such a good day.
Synchronicity of that as well.
You can! You suddenly realise it's Cameron Huntley.
Just suddenly a pillock. Sorry, not meant for.
And in this bit as well, Catherine can add an extra like aspect for being the strength as well to let Marlon lean. So I think this will be a lot easier as well.
The world's ending, like the familiar patterns emerging. Bring, bring.
Thing as well, after this we decided to move Marlon so that he didn't have to be pushed like back into it. We decided to do it from the point that he was already at instead of moving backwards, and I think that was easier for the rest of them to do as well.
Bring, bring. Bring, bring. Yes.
This bit we definitely choreographed a lot more. Me and Marlon did the same movements but in different directions, and they all chose paths to do, and Catherine did this really well, just coming back straight into this. Obviously added another body in there to add to the chaotic levels later, and as well because she plays Molly Holmes Spalding, allows that bit to work better.
So, say what?
And the fact that it's almost like it goes from this sort of unorganised clump to this organised bit here works really well with Molly Holmes Spalding, Leah, who we lift, and then the different characters who have a lot of connections throughout the piece in terms of adding the physical theatre sort of go back to each other. So Izzy and Hannah too often have lifts together and they end up being next to each other. Leah is often lifted by Marlon, but Marlon, Cameron and Caitlin, obviously two characters that are highly linked, and these two often have interactions, especially in terms of like being involved in the party scene.
Mommy came Spalding's running round saying,
Party's still on, guys!
Using the idea of a Calippo lift. Leah is probably the easiest one to lift because she has a lot of upper body strength and she's quite light, so we often did lift her, but we made sure that we lift other people as well in terms of like the intentions of what character should be lifted. So I often get lifted as well. But so far with adding in Catherine, she obviously provided an easier way to do this, and I don't think we would have added in the Calippo lift without her. The down of putting her back down needs to be a bit better, but that's what we had figured out so far. And then obviously going into the 3 scenes that we had created, well, the 2 scenes, and then Catherine obviously goes with Marlon, Hannah too helps us out with the chairs. When doing this, we also thought about transitioning so that the chairs were on for the next bus stop scene and for the party scene, because they're really vital to those as well.